So yes, just keep your, pop it just to the side because we'll need it just in a second. And let's just get comfortably seated. So that can be sat onto your heels, that can be cross-legged, however is best for you. And just take a moment just to settle into your body, allow the eyes to close. And come into the space, come into your space, acknowledging that you have made this time this afternoon to practice. And just noticing the quality of the physical body this afternoon and the quality of the mind. And we've been experiencing so many emotions, so many sensations in the last couple of weeks. And we really need to acknowledge what's there rather than pushing against it or wishing for anything else. This is our opportunity to be the witness. So using your breath now to slow down, bring yourself more present. And maybe doing a slight retention at the top of the breath in. And then maybe parting the lips as you exhale, just letting it go. And then gently flicker the eyes open. Bring yourself back into your other senses. And you're just going to locate your strap / scarf. I've not worn this scarf in a long time because it's so nice and sunny, which I'm very pleased about. So you're just going to lift your strap up towards the ceiling. And then I want it to be wide enough so that when you take the arms back behind you, there you don't bend. So you can start off quite wide just to begin with. Just starting to lift up, over. I want you to kind of resist the temptation to go like this. And then if it feels like, hey, you can bring the hands slightly closer together. This is still really soft, really easy. No strain. Just warming up through the shoulders. And then we can kind of do some like figures of 8 from here. So you can kind of bring the arms up and over. And then go in the opposite direction with those funny figures of 8. Nice. Bring yourself back towards the center. If you're on your heels or shins, bring yourself up onto a seat. And you're going to make sure you're on the bony bit of your bum as once again you lift your arms up and over your head. Bring yourself in and then lift your tippy toes away from the floor and see if you can pass your feet through back onto the ground. Now try and keep your knees together, lift your feet back up. Ooh, back up over the head. Nice. Challenge not to put your toes to the floor this time, so you're going to lift up, slide the feet up and over. Nice. Don't take the toes to the floor. Lovely. Last one. Bring the feet up, over the strap. Hover. Oh. Bring the feet up and over. Don't take the feet to the floor. Oh, maybe they do. And back up over. Nice. Now, playing the soles of the feet together, the knees open out wide. Just pop the strap to the side and fold forwards. Who's noticing the warmth through the belly, the warmth and the increase of breath. Settle into those hips, maybe a little sway from side to side here, kind of paddling your armpits or shoulders down towards your knees. And slowly bring yourself back towards the center. You're going to help your knees together. You're going to take your hands back behind you and pop your left ankle on top of your right knee into your figure 4. So I want you to focus on this foot being nice and flexed, but not kind of overly flexed, so you're just pulling back through the ankle, so it's a nice active foot. So your bum can be quite close towards your heel if you have the flexibility. I want you to think about or notice through my spine how the spine is long. So you're thinking about lifting up away or out of the lower back. And then keeping that right hand back behind you, resisting that temptation to kind of slump, you're going to lift your left arm towards the sky. And then we're going to twist. So you're going to take your legs over towards the left. I've mirrored you now, I'm confusing myself. Towards the right. Right arm, sorry, I've confused myself. Right arm comes onto the outside edge of your knee, so you're twisting. Wrong arm, sorry, apologies. And then bring yourself back up, bring the soles of the feet back down towards the floor. Anchor down through the feet, anchor down through the hands, lift the hips. Think about the shoulders hugging back. Maybe a little sway here, just from side to side, just to notice what's going on through the front of those pecs. And then lower your bum back down onto the ground. You're going to do the same thing with the other leg. So popping the right ankle on top of the left knee. Now that's what confused me. I spun around, didn't I? Chest lifts up. Once again, focusing on keeping the spine long. And then keeping anchored through your right hand, the left arm rises high. Exhale, twist, allow the feet and the knees to drift over towards the side as your elbow finds the outside of your knee. Now noticing your right sit bone and hip and thigh are going to lift away from the floor, that's fine. But I want you to be focusing on this elevation up out of the lower back. And then slowly unravel, bring yourself back towards the center. Pop the soles of the feet back down to the ground and just take a little windscreen wiper just from side to side. And you're going to crisscross your ankles, use a little bit of momentum if you need to, stepping back into your downward facing dog. Our first downward dog, as we always do, just take a moment, sway, paddle, shake the head. And then coming up onto your tippy toes, you're going to come forwards into a plank. Lower your knees down onto the floor and extend your right foot towards the back of the mat. Picking up the foot, flex your foot and your heel lifts up towards the ceiling. And then you're going to start to make some circles with that knee. So leading with the knee, so you can keep your foot nice and flexed, so kind of lubricating out through that hip socket. And then go the opposite direction with those circles. Nice, and then bring yourself back towards the center, extend the leg back, tucking through the toes, lifting up three-legged dog, left foot rises to the sky. Pointing out through your ankle, rolling out through the hip. Then placing that foot back down towards the floor, come high up onto your tippy toes, once again coming forwards. Plank, same thing, lower the knees. Extending the left foot back, lift up, flex your foot, heel to the sky. And taking anything out, start to circulate. Going the opposite direction, really isolating that movement. Nice. Bring yourself back, extend your leg away, keeping the toes tucked, three-legged dog, right foot rises to the sky. Pop the foot back down towards the floor, gaze forwards, walk or take a little hop to the top of the mat. Fold generously over those legs, give the head a shake. And then we're going to step our right foot long down the mat. Allow your heel to come down. We're going to come into a warrior one from here. So I want you to make sure your hips stay facing forwards. Lift the gaze as the arms rise up towards the sky. Sink a little bit lower into that front knee. And then hips move towards the side of the windmill out into a warrior two. Straighten out through your front leg. Come into a triangle. So reach over that front leg. Allow your hand to come onto your shin. Lifting opposite hand up towards the sky. Nice. Now look back down towards the ground. Lower the right hand to the floor. From here we're going to bend into our back knee and come into a half squat. So bend into your back knee. Nice. Elbow comes to the inside edge of your thigh. Left arm opens to the ceiling. Going to come back towards the top of the mat. Come back into your warrior two, straighten out through the back leg, bend into the front knee. And once again, straighten the front leg, triangle. Lovely. We're going to come back into that half squat to the back of your mat. So lower the gaze, hand comes down to the floor, bend into the back knee, left arm opens. Now instead of coming back into a warrior two, we're going to come back into a triangle pose. So the left arm leads, bring yourself back over. Just be mindful of what's going on in your feet as you open and unfurl back into that triangle. Lovely. Lower the gaze, soft bend into the knee. Arms windmill high, warrior one. Just rearrange through that stance. Beautiful. Arms swing back behind you, interlace. Heart lifts high, and then humble warrior, dive onto the inside edge of that leg. Arms come up and over the head. If this is too much, you can just find opposite elbows, or maybe just have the hands onto the lower back, focusing on the shoulders, hugging back. And then releasing through those hands, take the fingers to the floor and step back, downward facing dog. Just giving the shake out of those legs. And then look towards the top of the mat, walking, stepping, or taking that hop to the top of the mat. Release through the head, once again, familiar territory. And then we're going to step the left foot long down the mat. Going to come prepare for that warrior one, so allow the back heel to lower. Push down through the feet, arms rise. So noticing that your hips are facing forwards, your back foot is turning in slightly so that your left hip can face towards the front of the room. And then cartwheel yourself out, warrior two. Notice how the hips open, and maybe you just want to widen that stance ever so slightly. Straighten front leg. Reach over front leg, hand comes onto the shin, triangle. Look towards the top fingers if you're happy. Now obviously you're finding length through the left side of the body, but see if you can find a little bit more length through the right side of the body as well. And then lower the gaze, left hand drops down in front of the face towards the back of the mat, bend into that back knee, half squat. Nice, going to come back into a warrior two, so use a little bit of momentum if you need to. Right knee bends, beautiful. Straighten the leg. Reach forwards, hand onto your shin, triangle. Look up towards the sky if you're happy to do so. Think about your inner thighs hugging. And then lower the gaze, drop that hand down towards the floor, glide yourself towards the back of the mat. Left arm opens, unfurl the chest. Nice. Gonna come back into that triangle from here, so sweep the arm back towards the front of the room. Straighten the legs. And rise. Soft bend into the front knee, lower the gaze, bring yourself back up. Sink yourself just a little bit lower. And then cartwheel the hands all the way back down towards the floor. Big step back, downward facing dog. Shake out through the head, paddle the heels. And then from here, walking your hands and your feet together to come to the center of your mat. And here, half lift, straighten the legs, straighten the arms. And think about your chest drawing forwards, your lower belly and your ribs sucking in. And then squeeze the inner thighs together so you feel this inseam of your legs switching on. Option to stay, or you can extend your arms towards the front of the room. Find that lovely length through the body. And then bend the knees, chair pose, rise up. Sit yourself down just a little bit lower. Hands come to the center of the chest. Option to stay here, or we're going to twist. Take the right elbow to the outside edge of that left knee. You can always help it over if you need to. And then push the palms together to twist. Lower the gaze, bring yourself back towards the center. Opposite side, elbow onto the thigh. You can help it if you need. Twist yourself around. And then lower the gaze, straighten the arms, raise up, arc back. And forward bend over those legs. Once again, familiar territory, give the head a little shake. Maybe find opposite elbows here. Wiggle your nose, shake the head yes and no. And then hands walk forwards, feet walk back, downward facing dog. And from here, lifting your right leg high towards the sky. Bend the knee, open up your hip. Once your hip is open, re-straighten your leg. And then in a similar way as we did at the beginning of the class with those circles, we're going to keep our legs straight as you start to make those big circles once again. Doesn't have to be a particularly big shape, but see if you can keep active through the arms. Try not to kick any stray animals coming onto your mat. And then once the leg is high, stay there, lift the gaze. And you're going to step or help that foot through to the top of the mat. Back knee lowers, arms rise up, low lunge, hands come to the center of the chest, twisting towards the right hand side. So take the elbow if you need to, hands come to prayer and twist. So you can stay here if this is okay. If you'd like a little bit more, you can tuck the back toe, kick the heel back and extend. Smooth out through the breath. If your back knee is up, you're going to lower it back down. Arms rise back up towards the sky. And pop the fingers back down towards the mat. Stepping back, downward dog. Come forwards, plank. Lower yourself all the way down towards the floor, knees down if you'd like. Baby cobra or an upward facing dog. Think about your heart drawing forwards rather than just your throat. Knees down if you need to, come via a child's pose. Tuck the toes, downward dog. And then that left foot is going to fly high towards the sky, bending into the knee, open the hip. Once you feel like you've got it nice and open, re-straighten the leg. Notice how that changes things. And then start to make those nice big circles. Once again. And then coming the opposite direction with those circles. And then bring the leg high towards the sky, lift the gaze, come up onto the back toes, step or help that foot through to the top of the mat. The back knee lowers, the arms rise high. Pause here just for a moment, assessing what's going on through the front knee. Hands come towards the center and we're going to twist towards the opposite side. You can always help the elbow onto the knee. Hands come towards the center, push your palms towards the sternum. It's an option to stay here if this is enough, or without sacrificing your shape or your breath, you're going to kick your heel back and lift the thigh away from the ground. And slowly lower the back knee, arms rise back up. And then float the fingers back down towards the floor, stepping back, downward dog. Going to move through a flow from here, so back up onto the toes, and lower yourself down towards your belly. Breathing in, baby cobra or an upward facing dog. Knees down if you'd like to. Push sit bones to heels, child's pose, and then a downward dog. Shake the head. And then lift the gaze, walking, stepping or taking that little hop to the top of the mat. Half lift, hands come to the shins. Option to stay here, or you can extend your arms once again towards the front of the room. Imagine you've got that beach ball in between your hands. Shift the weight forwards into the balls of your feet, feel the backs of your hamstrings switching on. And then bend the knees, chair pose. Hands come to the center of the chest. And from here we're going to pick up our right foot, TP through the tippy toes. And the first one, we're just going to hop it up and over, kind of as if we were going to come into a pigeon pose, not a pigeon pose, an eagle pose. So sit yourself down just a little bit lower. And then pick up that foot with control, place it back to the floor, chair. Same thing, lift up the left foot with as much control as you can, just hop it up and over. Maybe the toes hit the floor, maybe they don't. And back up. Lifting up your right leg once again. This time the foot is going to step back behind you, kind of like a little curtsy. Now bend your knees until your knees and your shin, or your calf, almost touch. Option to stay here, or you're going to twist over towards your left-hand side. If you can, if it's there, maybe find your elbow onto your thigh and twist yourself around. That last option, you shift the weight into that left foot and start to teeter with your tippy toes. Maybe you see if you can bring that foot away from the floor. Maybe you fall, that's fine. Pop the toes back down to the ground if they haven't done already. Bring yourself back up. Use the control of that left leg back into a chair. Straight away, second side. Pick up the left foot. Take that little curtsy. Bend the knees. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you take that twist. Take the left elbow onto right knee. Push the palms together. Staying here, or you start to teeter with the back toes. Notice how this side might be different. Fluid through the breath. And then pop the toes back down to the floor if they haven't done already. With control, chair pose. Sit yourself all the way down onto the mat now, using the hands if you need to for a bit of control, or straight down onto your bum. Nice. You can extend your legs away from you. Just remove the flesh from underneath your bum. Fingers walk forwards and chest rises high. Start to walk yourself forwards into a forward bend. I think less about getting low and more about getting nice and long through the spine. So see if you can pull your toes back towards you. And then slowly walk yourself back up. Crisscross your ankles. Shift yourself forward. Use a little bit of momentum if you need to. Coming through a vinyasa. Coming through our flow. Meeting in your downward dog in your own time. And from here we're going to come into a pigeon pose. So let's lift our right leg to the sky. Gaze forwards. We're going to step or help that shin through to the top of the mat. The back knee lowers, you can heel toe or kind of slide that foot back. And then keeping the chest nice and open, if it works, you can start to walk yourself down. Now, imagine kind of rotate your palms up towards the ceiling here if you've lowered yourself. And then push down into your forearms so that your elbows are underneath your shoulders. If you'd like to, you can always tuck the back toe and lift the back knee. This comes on quite quickly, so take your time. Smooth out through the breath. And then options, stay here, or you can start to walk yourself over towards the right hand side. Or if it's accessible, you can just straighten your right arm ever so slightly and slide this left arm underneath, and then dropping your left shoulder maybe down onto a book, maybe a cushion if it's accessible. And if it's not, then just coming back or staying into the central position. I want you to be feeling something, but I don't want you to be pushing against it. And gently beginning to walk yourself back up. What you're going to do is just sit yourself over onto your right sit bone, and then swinging this left leg all the way around the front, come into a seated tree pose. Now take a moment just to get yourself happy, so you're probably actually going to be facing to the top right hand corner of your mat. So I want your chest to be in the same line as your hips. You interlace your fingers, inhale, lift up, and then twist your chest towards your straightened leg, and then begin to fold yourself forwards. Once again, think about your sternum lengthening forwards, your chest drawing forwards, and broaden your collarbone. So that means walking your hands slightly further up your calf, and do that. And from here we're going to come into that little wild thing. So walk yourself back up, right hand comes back behind you, push down and lift up. Maybe you cradle the back of your head, elbow to the ceiling. Relax through the head and neck. And then lower your bum gently back down towards the ground. Bring the soles of the feet towards the floor, hands come back behind you, push down, rise up. Notice how this feels now compared to when we did it at the beginning of our practice. Little sways. And then lower your bum slowly back down onto the ground. Straightening out through the legs. Remove the flesh from underneath your bum if need be. Once again, rising up. Exhale to fold. So each time we're warming up the legs slightly more, Each time you might be able to assess how it's feeling with a little bit more awareness. And slowly walk yourself back up, crisscross your ankles, use a bit of momentum if you need to. Option to move through a little flow, or just rest back into your downward facing dog and meeting there. Nice, and then coming up onto the, lifting up onto the left leg, preparing for our pigeon, gaze forwards, helping, if you need to, that left shin to the front of the mat. Heel toe back. You can pop something underneath your left sit bone, maybe a cushion once again, or if it's accessible, lower yourself down onto your forearms. Push down through the forearms and pull your chest forward so the arm bones are drawing back. And then once again, option to stay if this is enough, if you've got enough sensation. Or option A is you can just kind of walk yourself over towards the left-hand side. Or you can straighten your left arm ever so slightly. Right arm comes underneath and you kind of thread your needle. That might feel differently on this side. If it does, then trying to keep an equal kind of practice or stretch between both sides. And then slowly walk yourself back up. We're going to swing that back leg around in front. So you do this just rearranging through your tree pose legs. And you're probably going to be facing the top left-hand corner of your mat ever so slightly. Interlace the fingers, inhale, lift up. Keep that lovely length as you twist your chest towards your straightened leg. And then begin to fold forwards, release your hands. If you've managed to find your foot, then fantastic. If not, who cares? Think about your ribs trying to lift away from the top of your thigh. Slowly beginning to walk yourself back up. We're going to come into that little wild thing once again. So push down through the shin. Arm rises to the sky. You can stay to the ceiling or you can find the back of your head. And with control, lowering the bum back down onto the floor. Oopsies. 3, straighten out your legs. There's a lot going on in this class today, isn't there? And then we're going to lie ourselves down onto our backs. Pop your right ankle on top of your left knee. Option to stay here, or you can bring the knee in towards your chest. You can interlace around the back of your thigh or the front of your shin. Keeping the feet nice and flexed. And then gently release. From here we're going to twist. So options to keep the legs like this. This is going to be quite intense for your hip. Or you can just cross your knees over. That's going to be slightly more relaxing. Or too much still, you can just stack the knees on top of one another. And let's move the knees towards your left-hand side. Take the arms out in line with the shoulders. And just take a moment just to ease into your pose of where needs to be shuffled. I'm going to take 3 breaths here. Once you've found your 3rd breath, gently bring yourself back towards the center. A little rock, maybe just from side to side. And then placing the left ankle on top of the right knee. Once again, you can just keep the foot to the floor if you'd like to, or the knee can draw slightly closer into the chest, taking around the back of the thigh or front of the shin. And the more you draw this right knee towards you, the deeper the stretch. And the more you draw your left knee away from you, the bigger the stretch. And then unravel any kind of interlace. Take your arms out in line with the shoulders. Keep in this figure 4 position if it worked. Cross the ankle, or sorry, cross the knees if it worked, or just unravel all together as you twist to the right hand side. Maybe parting the lips as you physically release your breath. See if you're able to release a little bit of that tension from your morning. Acknowledging how you're feeling right now. And having no judgment of that. And slowly bring the knees back in towards the center. One last little rock here from side to side. And then you're going to extend the legs long down the mat towards the bottom corners. Maybe you take your hands onto your chest and your belly, or maybe you relax them back down next to the hips. And take a moment just to pause before you finally find your relaxation. Maybe popping on an extra layer of clothing. Maybe popping something over your eyes. And before we finally sink, I want you to just notice the physical body. Relax through the legs. Relax through the arms. Relax through the back of the head. And as we try to acknowledge and notice without holding on to or having to explain, just as it is right now. Noticing the sounds around you, rather than allowing yourself to attach an emotion to them, just allow them to be. We spend so much time thinking that our thoughts are us, whereas actually they're just a byproduct of our brain as an organ. We don't think about the blood that's being pumped around by our heart as being us. And from here, take a long, slow breath in through the nose. Feel your belly, chest lift. Now pause at the very top. Lift your pelvic floor. Hold there. And then open your mouth, exhale it out. Doing that again, breathing in slowly through the nose. Pause at the top, lift the pelvic floor. Open your mouth, relax everything out. Last one, breathe in to its fullest capacity, your fullest potential. Lift the pelvic floor. Lift the tip of the tongue to the roof of your mouth. Take an extra sip of air in. Open your mouth, release it all. Now noticing as you begin to invite movement back into the physical body, how you've already become awakened by that movement internally. So take your time, roll out through the wrists, roll out through the ankles, and noticing this transition from Shavasana to movement, and trying to keep hold of this heightened state of awareness for as long as possible. And then gently in your own time, and don't rush, you're going to begin to prepare to sit back up. We're going to come to sit in a comfortable seat. We're going to end our practice this afternoon with a really energizing breathing practice. So normally I kind of send you on your way all nice and relaxed, but this afternoon, seeing as it's our bank holiday and seeing as we have lots to enjoy. So from here, we're going to do the Kapalabhati breath. So it's that short, sharp exhalation, looking and sounding a bit like this. You're lifting your diaphragm up into the ribs. We're going to be doing this, and we're going to be doing it with some arm variations as well. So we're going to do 20 with your arms up like this. And as you do it, you're going to spread through your fingers, like making little stars. And then you're going to do 20 out here. And then we're going to do 20 out the front, okay? So, take a big breath in. Long breath out. Arms reach up, inhale halfway. Exhale, begin. Out to the sides. Out in front. Ten. 1, 2, 3, 4. Energetic. Out. It's warm. Fun. And relax the arms, close your eyes. Long breath in, feel that whole energetic feel going on inside you. And then to complete our practice, bring the hands together at the center of the chest. Take a moment just to notice how you're feeling. Taking the sense of calm, but also the sense of energy back out into the rest of your day to enjoy the sun. As always, thank you so much for practicing this afternoon, for taking the time for yourself to practice, for being so accommodating with my surroundings. Namaste.